To save my family from the crisis of bankruptcy, the goddess I had been secretly in love with for 7 years took the initiative to drug me and had a child with me. After our arranged marriage, when her family's company was out of danger, she felt that it was me and the child who were holding her back in life. For this reason, she didn't even allow our daughter to call her mom in front of outsiders. When our daughter was 5 years old, I was at the company, and the nanny had taken a leave. She actually left home secretly, leaving our daughter behind. Our daughter wanted to cook by herself to make her mother smile, but she was accidentally scalded by oil over a large area before she fell into a coma. Our daughter dialed her mother's number and called out, "Mom." However, on the other end of the phone, she was at the amusement park with her ex-boyfriend's child and casually hung up the phone without a care. Do you want to trick me into going home again? Get lost. Don't call me mom. When I got home, our daughter had already fallen into a coma. A week later, she, who was on the other side of the ocean, received an email. Inside were our daughter's death certificate and the divorce agreement I had signed. Our daughter's funeral was very grand. I held my daughter's teddy bear and sat in the corner of the mourning hall. Sophia didn't like the hustle and bustle every year on her birthday because her mother never showed up. She always asked me and the teddy bear to stay with her. The teddy bear was a birthday gift that Ava gave Sophia on her first birthday. It was also the only birthday gift that Ava, as a mother, ever gave her. Why are you staying here alone? Aren't you going to greet so many guests here? Why are you so childish? Among the noisy voices in my ears, this cold voice was particularly harsh. I looked up, and my eyes met Ava's sharp gaze. I didn't avoid her anymore. Is it the way of an adult to ignore her daughter every day, and then show up at the funeral to build an image? My reproachful tone made Ava frown. She clearly didn't expect me to talk to her like that. I had been chasing her for 3 years, and we had been married for 6 years. Ava had always been the one I cherished so much that I was afraid of dropping her or melting her in my mouth. After being a love puppy for 10 years, suddenly turning against her. No one would get used to it. I don't have time to deal with your emotions. Mom is here. Take care of her quickly. Don't be so inconsiderate of the overall situation. I sneered and stiffly turned my head, my eyes falling on Sophia's portrait. The funeral lasted for 7 days. Ava didn't get home until the last day. During these 7 days, she had been with other men. At the moment when Sophia closed her eyes, she was murmuring mom in her mouth. She only came back on the last day of Sophia's stay in the world. Have you seen Sophia? I asked her without turning my head. Yeah, there will be a banquet tonight. You should clean up and bring ... What should I clean up? Sophia's morning banquet. It is not for socializing and doing business while clinking glasses. I won't attend. I will stay with Sophia. I interrupted Ava and turned to go upstairs. I wanted to pack up my and Sophia's things and leave. After we got married, Ava said she wasn't used to living in my house. So, in recent years, I had been living in the house that Ava bought herself. It was time to leave today. James, how could you not take good care of a child? You've been staying at home with the child all these years, while your wife goes out to do business and make money. If I had known you were so useless, I shouldn't have let Ava marry you in the first place. My mother-in-law was crying loudly. She was wearing a black mink coat, and her makeup was quite good. After crying for a long time, not a bit of her makeup was smudged. Looking closely, it turned out that there were no tears at all. I looked back and didn't want to pay attention to her. My mother-in-law just couldn't stop her act. Damn, James, are you still a man? How on earth did you take care of my granddaughter? I stopped in my tracks and turned back to glare at her fiercely. How did you teach your daughter? After 6 years of marriage, she had an affair for 3 years. The child went to the kitchen just to see her mother. That's enough. Ava frowned and snapped. You have no right to scold me in front of me. Mom, stop making a fuss. This is a child's funeral. I gave them a cold look and went up to Sophia's room on the 2nd floor. Sophia's room was very clean. Since she left, I hadn't let anyone clean it. This was her room, but I could feel that she didn't want to stay here now. She didn't want to stay at this funeral that was used for doing business and socializing. She also didn't want to look at her mother, who wouldn't shed a tear for her. I took a deep breath, opened the wardrobe, and started packing Sophia's belongings. I couldn't bear to throw away any of Sophia's clothes from the day she was born. Until now, as I packed each piece, Sophia's appearance became clearer in my mind. The more I packed, the blurrier my vision became. The little cup I gave Sophia on her first birthday, this girl didn't use it much. But she hugged the teddy bear that her mother, who didn't even bother to see her, gave her day and night. I don't know how long I had been packing. My tears had already wet my collar. The teddy bear that Ava gave Sophia still carried the girl's scent. I held it in my arms and sniffed Sophia's smell. My heart ached as if it had been suddenly tugged on. That birthday, Sophia and I sat at the dining table and waited until the early morning for her mother. Looking at the cake on the table, I said, Sophia, Mom is making money for the family, and she's too busy. Let's not wait for her. You should eat and go to bed. Sophia, who is only 1 year old, shook her head, babbling, "Mom," and couldn't stop crying. As soon as she started crying, Ava opened the door and came back. Sophia immediately wiped the tears off her face with her hands and looked at her mother with a smile. "Mom, hugged me." Ava frowned, threw the teddy bear aside, and went straight back to her room. That was the only birthday that Ava ever celebrated for the child, or rather, it was the only time she ever showed up. Sophia knew when she was only 1 year old that her mother didn't love her very much. She had always been cautious, longing for a moment of love, just as cautious as I was. I chased Ava for 3 years in college. 3 years of being a love puppy didn't lead to a happy ending. We got married because Ava's family's small factory was already in financial difficulties at that time. Her parents owed a large amount of debt. Ava knew that I could help her, and she also knew that it wasn't something that could be done overnight. With the matchmaking of Ava's mother and my intense pursuit, she finally agreed to marry me. The moment I made a promise in front of the priest, I thought that the witnessed vow could guarantee our marriage. Although her condition at that time was that I had to live in the house she bought and leave all business matters to her. Since my father passed away, Ava had basically been in charge of my family's company. I held the teddy bear, found a car, and was ready to leave when my mother-in-law, or rather Ava's mother, suddenly rushed in aggressively. "Where are you going? Now, why didn't you tell me about your divorce from Ava? Have you done the property division? Ava has been making money for your family all these years. Are you trying to kick Ava out of the company now that you're getting a divorce?" Ava's mother pointed at my nose and shouted, then reached out to grab the teddy bear in my arms. "You're such a grown man, and you can't even do a good job of doing the laundry, cooking, and taking care of the child at home. You're always holding a teddy bear. You're not ashamed, but I feel ashamed for Ava." All the resentment and anger of these days rushed to my head at once. I held the teddy bear and glared at her fiercely. "Get out of the way. I've already divorced that woman. The company is mine in the first place. Don't worry, I won't treat her unfairly." My mother-in-law was intimidated by my red and fierce eyes and stepped back. I carried Sophia's things downstairs and went straight out the door. I stood at the door and looked back. 6 years of marriage seemed like a fleeting cloud, so unreal. At the funeral scene, where people were clinking glasses, no one stopped in front of Sophia's portrait. Ava was shuttling through the crowd, accepting unnecessary condolences and quickly getting into business topics. My mother-in-law chased down from upstairs and wailed in front of Sophia's portrait, "Look at your useless father. He bullied your mother as soon as you left. Now he doesn't even want to stay at your funeral and is leaving with his mistress." I sneered. I didn't have the energy to argue with her anymore. Ava's eyes passed through the crowd and landed on me. When she saw me standing with Luna, she frowned as if she was a bit angry. I sneered at her and got into Luna's car. "Ava still minded so much about me being with you." Luna helped me carry my luggage and smiled bitterly. I shook my head. "She's crazy. She's out there fooling around with other men. But she can't stand me talking to any woman at all." The atmosphere in the car was very heavy. Luna kept observing my expression. "Please accept my condolences. Don't be too sad. Sophia wouldn't want to see you like this." I nodded and tried my best to hold back my sadness. The scenery outside, the window flashed by in front of me. I was getting farther and farther away from my former home. But the past between me and Ava kept emerging more and more uncontrollably. "She must have loved you too, since fate is over. Look forward." Luna's words were like a needle piercing into my heart. Tears streamed down my cheeks along with the welling up of resentment. I chased her for 3 years, being a love puppy. I didn't even care that she married me for her family's business. I gave her money myself and even my heart, even if she still doesn't love me. But why treat the child like this? Do you know how Sophia? Luna stopped the car, patted me on the shoulder, and pulled me into her arms. I stiffened for a moment and then let her hold me. All these years, people have said that I, a grown man, am good for nothing and act like a woman at home. But who knows? Facing a wife who doesn't love me or our daughter, facing the mockery from others in the business world, what exactly was I going through? Although most of the time I didn't care about the outside voices, the most unacceptable thing for me was once when I came home from a business dinner, I found out that Sophia had a fever. As soon as Ava saw me, she sneered and said, "You like this little thing so much, why can't you take good care of her?" I could only flatter her in silence. "Stop crying. You, the young master, have become a punching bag all these years." Luna patted my shoulder and comforted me. "So you got a divorce and couldn't wait to come and find your old flame." Just as Luna finished speaking, I realized that Ava had followed us. There was still that cold smile on her face that kept people at a distance. She smiled haughtily, as if she had always looked down on me. I laughed at myself inwardly. It seemed that this woman had always looked down on me. "What else are you unhappy about? Our daughter is dead and we're divorced. Are you here to humiliate? My friend, we have nothing to do with each other anymore. Please be polite when you speak." I took a deep breath, suppressed the sadness in my heart, and stared straight at her. looking at this woman whom I had longed for day and night and tried so hard to please. Ava's smile froze for a moment. She frowned, and there seemed to be tears. In her eyes, was she feeling sad? It must be an illusion. I took out the luggage from the car. Luna, help me carry it up. Ignore her. Sophia's death completely shattered the filter I had for Ava. I had no more affection for this woman at all. Ava was left behind by me. I even felt disgust. Husted wanted to get out of her sight quickly. James, don't you think you should talk to me about the company distribution? Ava's voice came from behind. I could hear a bit of anger in it. I smiled. With my back to her, I'll talk to you about it when I've settled down. From the very beginning, you only came to my family for the money, didn't you? Now that we're separating, you still want to take advantage. Just take it. I don't care anymore. I really didn't care anymore. It's just money. I'll have enough to live on for the rest of my life. Even after the property is divided, there will still be enough left for me to live a peaceful life alone. Surprisingly, Ava didn't refute me. After settling the things, Luna found an excuse and left. I sat in the small house I bought myself, staring blankly at Sophia's photo. The room was empty. There was nothing else in it except Sophia's things. I held the teddy bear in my arms, and it gave off a slight fishy smell. I frowned and poked it. You've been soaked by my tears. Do you also think I'm a good-for-nothing? Man, I couldn't help but laugh. The setting sun outside the window just shone through onto the solid wood floor, empty, peaceful, and calm. Sophia didn't like the hustle and bustle. You live in a place like this. You'd rather divorce me and live the life of a low-class person. My eyebrows furrowed involuntarily, and I turned around to look at Ava standing at the door. I didn't give you permission to come to my house, did I? Ava didn't answer. She sat down on the sofa on her own. She glanced at the photo of Sophia I put on the TV cabinet. You care so much about this little thing. I just don't understand. You care about her even more than the company, more than your future, and more than me. I felt confused for a moment. She's our daughter. What do you mean by little thing? I care about my family. What's wrong with that? Do you think everyone is like you, only knowing about business? Before I could finish speaking, a deep and mellow male voice came from the door. This voice carried a familiar hostility. Ava has worked very hard taking care of the business over the years. Your family's business owes a lot to her. You should be more understanding of her. But I will take care of these things in the future. The man who came in was wearing a proper suit with a neatly combed hairstyle and deep eyes. Handsome, wealthy, a diamond bachelor. Compared with me, a man in a white t-shirt and jeans with a haggard face, he was indeed better. He had been better than me from the very beginning. But was my marriage supposed to be trampled on like this? Was Sophia supposed to bear this kind of unfairness and selfishness? Ava liked you in college. Now you two have finally gotten together. I won't even look into how many times the two of you slept together during these 3 years. Now this is my home. Get out. I'll talk about the company property distribution when I'm in a better mood. With a cold face, I issued an order to evict him. Ava sneered. You're not clean. You don't care about things, and yet you pretend to be a victim. I've never seen such a disgusting man. I shouted at Ava. Your mother tried so hard to send you to my bed back then. Later, your family got through the difficulties relying on mine, and you even managed my company after you came back from college. You were busy having an affair. If it wasn't for Sophia being so young, I would have wanted to divorce you a long time ago. Don't worry, I definitely won't pester you. But about the property division, you can wait until I'm in a better mood to talk about it. I was so angry while shouting that my face turned red, and my voice was so loud that it deafened even myself. When Ava saw me getting angry, she was so upset that her whole body was trembling, and her fists were clenched tightly. I sneered, do you want to hit me, or do you want to hit me together with your affair partner? Ava didn't say a word. She stared at me, and tears welled up in her eyes. She picked up her bag and said, you're a jerk who doesn't know that you have something going on with Luna. I slapped her backhand. She's my college classmate. Ever since you first met her, you thought there was something between me and her. All these years, she hasn't contacted me just because of you. Don't you think you've gone too far? You're having an affair, yourself. Don't think others are as dirty as you. With a slap, the crisp sound echoed in the space along with my scolding. Ava couldn't stop crying, looking both aggrieved and angry, which made me feel disgusted. I looked at Henry. Henry, you slept with Ava when Ava and I were still married. Henry stared straight at me. If it weren't for Ava, I would definitely stop doing business with your company. Hitting a woman? What kind of thing are you? Henry pushed me hard. I stumbled and almost fell. The anger in my heart grew even stronger, and I punched Henry in the face. I had been exhausted these days and was no match for Henry. He was about to rush up and beat me but was stopped by Ava. Enough. Your resentment over the years has been vented quite a bit, hasn't it? Now it's time to calm down and talk about the company property rights. Is it that I'm coveting it, or that you don't want to divide it? Ava looked at me coldly with red eyes. I sneered and sat down on the sofa. Her tears made me feel disgusted. I chased you for 3 years. Whenever you wanted me to take you to the off-campus library, no matter what I was doing, as long as you wanted, I would appear and take you there, and then leave obediently. When you wanted to hold a birthday party, with just a mention, I had to hire the best chefs at the best hotel. The point is, I wasn't even qualified to attend your birthday. After graduating from college, your mother tried every means to make you marry me. You made me sleep in a separate room for the first 3 months after we got married. I had to live in the house you bought. Even Sophia took your last name. I chased you for 3 years, and we've been married for 9 years. As soon as Henry came back years ago, you couldn't wait to find him because Henry didn't pay attention to you at all. Back then, you thought he was excellent. I was just a love puppy. Do you think that with just one slap you've paid off all that, and now you want to divide my property? I stared at her coldly. Every word passed through my heart, with memories like a sharp blade. All the past finally turned from grievances and swallowing my anger into uncontrollable fury. I stared at her intently and even wanted to take action. More and more tears streamed down Ava's face. I just regarded it as her crying because she couldn't stand losing face. She picked up her bag and left angrily. Who cares about your little money? Bang. The door was slammed shut. The room fell silent again. I sat on the sofa, looking at Sophia's photo for a moment. All kinds of emotions welled up in my heart. Sophia, you probably wouldn't want to see Mom and Dad quarreling, right? But there's no way around it. Your mother has never loved us. I stroked Sophia's photo and let out a long sigh of relief. To my surprise, Ava didn't come again in the following few days. What's even more surprising is that she's getting married for the second time. On the third day, after leaving my house, Ava posted a marriage certificate in her WeChat Moments. Their wedding was also held on the same day they got the certificate. Through the WeChat Moments, I saw Ava standing in front of the same priest as before. She was saying the vows that she had said to me back then. Ava smiled brightly that day. It was a smile I had never seen in the 6 years of our marriage. Well, there was one more time. Back in the summer during our college days, Ava was having a meal with me. To be precise, I had just finished getting the food for Ava. Ava finally agreed to have a meal with me, but then Henry suddenly showed up. During our college days, he was an outstanding top student, a top student that even Ava couldn't match. Not only was he good at studying, but he was also the captain of the school basketball team. There were countless girls chasing after him at school, and I, although I was a rich second generation at that time, wasn't the type to act arrogantly at school either. Henry's family background was not as good as mine, but it wasn't bad either. With his handsome face and excellent grades, the girls who chased after him at school could almost line up from the girls' dormitory to the boys' dormitory. But he had never had any gossip, and he even publicly said words like, "I will only love Ava in my life." So when he suddenly appeared beside Ava's seat, patted Ava on the shoulder, and said, "May I sit down?" Ava immediately showed a bright smile at that time and then frowned and glanced at me. I could only hold my plate and make room for the two of them. Henry also showed up on the day Ava and I got married. At that time, I thought that I had finally beaten him. I proudly and happily put the wedding ring on Ava. I got dead drunk on our wedding day after we got married. Henry went abroad. But as soon as he came back 3 years later, Ava still abandoned the family. One night, there came a series of lewd sounds from the underground parking lot of my house. I stood outside the car window and watched Ava stick her head out of the car and sway vigorously. That kind of obscenity and humiliation made me furious. I warned Ava that she couldn't cheat anymore, but she just calmly tidied up her clothes and got out of the car with a cold face. You and that little thing are nothing but stumbling blocks to me. If you want a divorce today, I couldn't be happier. Don't mention that little kid to me. I can't wait for her to die. I knew how much Sophia loved her mother. I didn't choose to get a divorce. In the days that followed, Ava cheated as if it were only natural, and everyone knew about it. The ridicule towards me came pouring in and never stopped. I never expected that my choice would cost Sophia her life. That day, Ava left with Henry. Again, but she seemed to have left me some dignity and chose to leave when I was at the company. Not long after she left, I went home. As soon as I got home, I smelled an overwhelming smell of gas. I called out for the nanny and Ava twice, but there was no answer. The moment I rushed into the kitchen in a hurry, I saw a scene that I would never forget for the rest of my life. Sophia was holding a mobile phone in her hand, and half of her body was covered with hot oil. There were tears in her eyes, and she was clutching the mobile phone tightly. The moment I stood at the door in shock, I heard a voice coming from the other end of the mobile phone. "You and your useless father are the biggest burdens in my life. You two deserve to die. Don't try to trick me into going home. Get lost. Don't call me Mom from now on." Immediately after, there came a busy tone from the other end of the phone. At that time, my scalp went numb, my whole body went numb, and tears almost burst out of my eyes. I even forgot how I sent Sophia to the hospital. At that time, the empty room seemed to be filled with memories like a tide. In an instant, everything made me feel an overwhelming anger. Maybe my marriage was something I brought upon myself, but Sophia was clearly innocent. I don't know why Ava treated her own daughter like this. After all these years, even if it were a dog, some affection should have been developed, right? Am I really such a pathetic person that I'm born to endure this kind of anger? I looked at Sophia's photo, and the more I looked at it, the angrier and more indignant I felt for her. Ava, what on earth does she think she's entitled to? I sat on the sofa with anger and sorrow intertwined. Suddenly, Luna called me again. Something's wrong. Ava is going to hold a board meeting of the company's chairman. She said she's going to revoke your shareholder rights and buy back the shares in your hand at the current market price. I frowned slightly. How do you know that? Luna was silent for a moment. Come to your company first, and talk about it. However, it's better for you to stay calm. I wiped away my tears, and the anger in my heart almost burst out of my chest. This is Ava. She married me in the first place, just for my company. Over the years, her family's business has also thrived, relying on my company. Now, before the property division is even done, she's already planning to lay her hands on my company and revoke my shareholder rights. With a cold face, I drove to the company. As soon as I arrived downstairs at the company, I saw Luna standing anxiously at the entrance. What's wrong? How do you know that Ava is going to hold a board meeting with the company's chairman? I frowned and asked her. Luna took a deep breath and showed me a text message on her phone. Take a look for yourself. You've had an affair with James for a long time. Don't think I don't know about it. You have to notify James yourself to come and make this clear in front of the board of directors. At this point, don't try to deny it. I clearly love him, but you two have always treated me like a fool. I looked at this text message and was a bit confused for a moment, but this phone number was indeed Ava's. I suddenly thought of the details of Ava being with me back then. Once, on the way to the library, she smelled the scent of perfume in my car. She suddenly frowned, and her face turned cold. If you want to send someone else, go ahead. Don't waste your time. I didn't understand it at that time, and could only anxiously explain that the perfume smell was my mother's. Not long after we got married, I went out to buy fruits by the roadside. The vendor at that time was a young woman with a child. I saw that the mother and child were in a difficult situation, so I bought more fruits. Anyway, there were many people in the family, and there was a nanny. We always ran out of fruits. Ava put on a bad face at that time, and after asking for a long time, she finally asked me, "Do you really like the plot of a hero saving a beauty?" Later on, Ava's possessiveness seemed to get stronger and stronger. She would change all my clothes, from the inside out. Later, she wouldn't let me go to the company, and even wouldn't let me go out unless it was necessary. After that, when Sophia was born, she had an even better reason to keep me from going out. The day Sophia was scolded happened to be the day when I had to go to the company. If I had been at home, Sophia might not have. I looked at the text message and sneered. She's just trying to shift the blame. If Ava really hates me, why does she also hate her own daughter? This is my own family matter. You don't need to worry about it. Thank you for your trouble. Luna still wanted to say something, but I insisted that she stay out of it. Whether Ava hates me or has a misunderstanding, she carried the child in her womb for 10 months and gave birth to a daughter that can't be faked. Ava is just a selfish devil. Today's text message is obviously an attempt to shift the blame and try to put me in a difficult position. I took my position in front of the board of directors, but later I realized that I had underestimated Ava. She is a complete lunatic. She's a pervert. When I got to the meeting room and pushed open the door, I saw Ava sitting arrogantly in the main seat. It seemed that they had already started voting to decide whether to deprive me of my shareholder rights. I sneered in my heart. I haven't managed the company much in recent years, and Ava has actually gathered all my people around her. I let out a cold snort and sat in the seat opposite. Ava, I have no objection to you holding a board meeting as the company's chairman, but why did you involve Luna? I stared straight at Ava, without any sign of backing down. For nearly 10 years, every time I met her, I would fawn on her timidly, but from today onwards, the old James no longer exists. Ava had a cold face, still looking aloof. Do you think I don't know about what happened between you and Luna back then? Are you the kind of person who won't shed a tear until you see the coffin? As she spoke, Ava slowly stood up. Today, we're discussing company matters. Generally speaking, family matters shouldn't be involved. But from my personal point of view, James' character is simply not suitable to continue serving as the company's vice president. While speaking, Ava turned on the projector and showed a few photos. The moment I saw the photos, a chill ran down my spine. I've always known that Ava had a strong sense of control. At first, I even thought it was a sign of her loving me, but I never expected that this woman had actually gone to such an extent. On the projector were photos of me interacting with random women in my daily life. Among these photos, although most of the ones showing my interactions were with Luna, there were also pictures of me casually talking to the woman vendor by the roadside. as well as with the salesgirls in the supermarket and the waitresses in the restaurants. I stared blankly at the photos on the projector, and a feeling of nausea seeped out from every pore of my body. The other shareholders present also widened their eyes and looked at each other in surprise. Ava had tears in her eyes at the moment. "You don't know how much I care about you, but ever since Sophia was born, you've been revolving around the child all day long. I went out to play with Henry and his child, and you didn't even come looking for me. Are you even a man? On what grounds do you say you like me?" I looked at Ava with tears in her eyes and only felt disgusted and angry. For a moment, if she had looked at me with such tearful eyes back then, I would have been extremely touched. But now I just feel suffocated. For a full 10 years, I completely failed to realize that Ava was actually such a person. "You're crazy." I stared at her for a long time and only gave this one response. Although I don't know why Ava would have such almost perverted behavior, it has nothing to do with me anymore. This sentence seemed to sting Ava. She suddenly slapped the table. "You pointed at me viciously and said you only loved me. You chased me for 3 years. You were a love puppy for 3 years. After we got married, you said you would always care about me, but you didn't do it at all. You're a liar. On what grounds do you call me crazy? I've been running the company for you every day. For the company's business, I slept with Henry. Do you know how much I've done for you? All you know is to revolve around that little beast I gave birth to all day long. If she's dead, so what? Can't I have another child? You should love me more, instead of focusing on that little beast." Ava roared furiously, hysterically, and tears welled up in her eyes. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes staring at me were like those of a devil from hell. This was the first time I had seen Ava like this. It was also the first time I had known that this woman's way of loving me was so perverted. It was as if I was meeting the woman in front of me for the first time. It was also the first time that I had seen so clearly the ferocity beneath her cold exterior. The most unacceptable thing for me was that this woman actually called Sophia a beast. These were words that no mother should ever say. The Ava in front of me didn't regard anyone as a human being at all, including me, whom she claimed to love so much. "You call your own daughter a little beast. You've been following me in my daily life and even controlling the clothes I wear every day. Don't you think you're like a pervert now? You've called this meeting and even involved Luna. Do you want me to submit to you again and beg you like a dog?" I shouted angrily at her. "I must be crazy to have fallen in love with such a pervert like you." This last sentence seemed to pierce into Ava's heart. She was hysterical, yet seemed to be worried about damaging her image in front of others. She was shaking all over, and the look in her eyes as she looked at me was filled with hatred. This look made me feel afraid. She wanted to kill me. I shuddered all over, suddenly slapped the table, and shouted, "You're a lunatic. Get out of my company. No one should always indulge you." Ava's eyes were cold. "You said you loved me. Shouldn't you give me everything? Shouldn't you consider everything for me? Shouldn't you revolve around me? Shouldn't you live to make me happy? If you love me, give me the company." Ava roared at me with red eyes. At this moment, one of the shareholders suddenly stood up. "Let's suspend this meeting for now." When the others saw this, they also left one after another. In the empty meeting room, only Ava and I were left. I looked at her coldly. "You should get your head checked. Also, never call Sophia a beast again. You're not worthy of being her mother, nor are you worthy of being my wife." After saying that, I turned around and left. Just as I reached the door, my former mother-in-law suddenly rushed in. "You son of a underscore, on what grounds won't you give the company to us? Wasn't the reason Ava married you just for this? If it wasn't for the fact that you seemed to really care about Ava back then, what have made you two divorced long ago? You're such a despicable person. That is expected. You can't be trusted. Don't you love your daughter very much? If you give the company to us, your daughter can rest in peace. Otherwise, I'll make sure she never has peace in the afterlife." A surge of anger rushed from my lower abdomen straight to the top of my head. I grabbed her collar. "Sophia is already dead. What else do you want?" "What do I want? I know exactly where Sophia's grave is." Ava's mother stared at me coldly. "Do you dare to lay a hand on me?" I pushed her away and left the meeting room, hurrying to Sophia's grave to see her. These two women, mother and daughter, were completely crazy. Before I left, Ava shouted at me, "Is that little beast really more important than me? On what grounds do you say you love me?" I let out a cold snort, and in my heart, I just wanted to stay far away from these two crazy people. On the way to the cemetery, I gradually recalled all the details of being with Ava in the past. She would always show a strange smile every time she ordered me around. I had always thought that this was a sign of her liking me, but now it seems that that kind of smile was clearly the excitement after her disgusting desires were satisfied. Every time we had sex, Ava always liked to use all kinds of props and even wanted to draw blood. After Sophia was born, she never held her once. Every time I held Sophia, she would always look at me viciously out of the corner of her eye. These things, so many details, I simply didn't pay attention to them at all in the past. But now that I think about it, there are so many abnormal things about this woman. This woman is not worthy of being a mother, and there's no way I'm going to give the company to her. When I got to the cemetery, I found that everything was normal, but I still wasn't at ease. So, I found someone to handle the relocation matters overnight. Then I bought a new house and changed my residence. All of this was to ensure that this woman would never enter my Aunt Sophia's life again. During the days when I was moving and relocating the grave, I didn't have time to take care of the company's affairs. It was only after I had settled everything that I found out that Ava had been impeached. When I attended the company meeting again, Ava no longer participated in the company's business decisions. She only had the right to receive dividends left. I immediately started adjusting the business. Not only did I cut off all business with Ava's family, but I also started checking the accounts. Ava's mother was definitely not an easy person to deal with. Sure enough, there were a lot of problems with the accounts. Ava's family's factory had even borrowed 20 million yuan from my company. It had been 4 years since the loan, and not a single penny had been repaid. I immediately arranged for the legal department to sue them. The next time I met Ava was in court. All the evidence was in my favor, and her family's factory had originally relied on my company to survive. After I completely severed the relationship with her family, other companies also ended their cooperation one after another. At the gate of the court, Ava stared at me coldly. As expected, men can't be trusted. You said you would love me for a lifetime and give me everything. But what happened in the end? You even want to make my family go bankrupt. I won't let you get away with this. I looked at her cold and ruthless expression, shook my head, and said, "Why don't you go to a mental hospital and get checked out?" After saying that, I turned around and left. After this separation, I never saw Ava again. The next time I heard news about her was still from Luna. Ava's family has gone bankrupt, and they paid back the money they owed by borrowing. Ava's mother has been imprisoned, and Ava has nothing left. Her mental state has been very poor recently. She sent me a message the other day, asking if we felt any pangs of conscience for torturing her like this. I took a deep breath. Don't tell me any more news about that woman. If she bothers you again, just call the mental hospital. She should go there and make friends with the crazy people. In the days that followed, without Ava, I realized that life can belong to myself, and it can be peaceful and fulfilling. I started expanding the company's business and would go to visit Sophia every day. The past sorrows were gone. I will pull myself together.